Hey guys, welcome to this Friday's live stream. I have a ton of stuff to show you. I've been sewing a ton, so I want to show you, but the most exciting thing I have to tell you about is we have designed and completed our charity quilt for 2020. So this year, our charity quilt, we have raised $21,000, and then when you add what Kevin and I and what Moda Fabrics donate, it's going to be $41,000. So we are so thankful to everybody for donating, and I just wanted to let you guys know that we will be releasing the new charity quilt early next week. I don't have an exact date, and I want to give a big thank you to Gina Tell, who turned that quilt around in 2 days for me. So we have to get it back from her today, photo it, price it, all those things. So it'll be online early next week. If you want to buy the kit, if not, it's going to be a free pattern that goes from February to July next year. And this year it's kind of like a vintage, it's got a vintage vibe. And I would say one of the questions you guys always ask is it easy, intermediate, or hard? I would say it would be intermediate. It is not hard. So I'm super excited because I got that done last weekend. It's really pretty and the backing is amazing. The backing is like the best backing we've ever designed, meaning Jocelyn, because Jocelyn designed it, so it's awesome. So I just want y'all to look forward to that because I think it's going to be totally awesome, totally something to look forward to. And I love when we do the charity quilt because we space it out every 2 weeks, so it gives you time to, I guess, like get each piece done and you don't have to feel like you have to do it all at once. If you pre-order the kit, you will get the bonus of the entire pattern up front, and if you pre-order the backing, you get that entire pattern up front. So that's the bonus of getting the kit. And then Kevin and I use the money from the sale of the kits, and we donate $10,000 every year. So just be looking for that. Super excited. I can't show it to you because Gina has it, and we can't show it until next week.
Real quick, we have a new YouTube member who just joined right now, Sandy Cummings. Welcome, Sandy.
Thank you. And hot off the press, this arrived within the last 24 hours.
Ooh.
Yep, so it's so pretty. I literally just saw it 5 minutes ago. It's our Triangles on a Roll book. And so this is published by It's So Emma, which is our company. And so if you pre-ordered the book, it will be shipping today or Monday or Tuesday. Probably today or Monday. So this is the book. It just arrived. And we're going to have a sew along. And so I finished the sew along just in time for the book to arrive. So here's my quilt. So this is the binding and backing. I'll show you my backing. So this is the quilt that's going to be the sew along. And then I'm going to give you all the sew along details. But first I want to show you my quilt. I just finished it on, I think I finished it on Tuesday. So how do I do this, Lily? Before, front or back of the...
Back of the thing, where you are. Perfect.
So can you see the bottom?
Yes.
So this is all triangles on a roll. And I used something blue. So is that good enough, Lily?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the front. I'm going to give you all the details in a second. I don't want to tell you too fast because if I do, then I'll tell you wrong. And then I had fun with the backing, of course. So here's my backing. Okay, so I don't know if you're going to be able to see it because it's a tiny label in the center. So this is how I do a majority of my piece backings. Is I just do a top, a bottom, and then a strip in the center, and I put a label in the center. Those labels, I purchased them from Sweetwater Label Company. Well, they're Sweetwater. It's a Sweetwater Label Club, and I pay them. I'm not paid to say it, but what I do is I take them, I iron them onto a fabric, and then I piece them in, so if anybody ever stole the quilt, you can't take the label out. So there's my back. And this is the binding I chose. There's also like a white stripe, and so I kind of toggled between the two, but I went ahead and went with this. So on the sew along, it is going to begin, we're going to introduce it on August 20th, meaning if you go to our blog on August 20th, it's going to have all the details. We're going to start it on September 3rd. You need triangles on a roll. We tried to make it to where you didn't have to purchase all the triangles on a roll. So first you need the book. The book, it's in my lap. So you need the book, and then you need H400 and H300. So you only need 2 triangles in a roll. It's going to be 4 weeks, and we're going to start at September 3rd. You will need, for the very center, I use 2 fat quarters. For the outside points, 5 fat eighths. For background, you need 3 3/4 to 4 yards. It depends how wide you want to cut it. I would go with 4 yards. 5/8 yard binding and 4 yards backing. So if you want to sew along with us, I would totally love it. I kind of went with a 2-color theme just because I've been doing so many things that have tons of colors. So I think that would look great in red and white, or black and white, or cheddar and brown. So very simple, but very good size. So I'm super excited to bring that free sew along to you and to show you the book first, because I literally saw this book 5 minutes ago. The colors are fabulous. So we have that. So we have our charity quilt, we have our new triangles on a roll book, and we have our Ultimate Beginner series. And I have loved seeing all the blocks. My favorite one is in Kimberly Stitch Squad last night. It was all dots. It was like dot, dot, dot. I was like, oh, I love dots. So I'm going to show you some of the ones that we have made here. This is so the Ultimate Beginner series is a series that we're doing at Fat Quarter Shop to just go back to the very basics of quilting and talk about how you use a sewing machine, how to prep your fabrics, how to press, how to stitch, different tips for accuracy, just going all the way back to the very beginning. So even if you're an experienced quilter, maybe you can learn something from me, but if you have never quilted, I hope that I can get you on your journey. So this is our first block. It's called Stripes. This is Lily's. Yay, Lily. Look at those straight seams. Angel, and so this is Grunge. Gracie. Taryn. And so all of these people, ladies, work for me. And then this is Sue's, and this is the colorway we're doing for the kit. So we do have a quilt kit available, and we have a notion kit available, and this is block 1. And you can use your fabrics in your stash. You can use anything you want. It's going to be a free pattern on every video, and the descriptions will be the pattern. There will be 9 blocks that are 12 inches. And then we will have a finishing pattern, and we will talk about going through and quilting, binding, every single step.
Real quick, I'm just seeing a lot of confusion about pre-ordering the triangles on a roll book. People were concerned that they can't pre-order anymore.
You can pre-order right now, and in about 2 hours you can't pre-order because it literally just showed up. So when it shows up, we ship the distributor orders right out, and we ship y'all's orders right out. So if you want to pre-order it this morning. And once, the way that we run it here is we basically turn off the pre-order product, run all the clubs, and then put the real product back online. So I would pre-order before this live stream is over. So that's a ton of stuff. So I sewed on Saturday 14 hours. And on Sunday, I think I did 8. Because I really just needed to power through and get stuff done. So I'm feeling so accomplished and great because I'm totally caught up on my stuff. So speaking of books, we have another book, Perfect 5. It's very similar to Triangles on a Roll. Triangles on a Roll, the book uses this product, which are triangle papers. And if you wanted to have every triangle paper that is used in the book, we have a master set. And just so you know, so we have that. Perfect 5 goes with our brand new Creative Grits Perfect 5 ruler. It's so cute. It works great with charm packs, and it's a very simple ruler, and it only has a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. And so it's great if you're a beginner and you're doing a beginner quilt that doesn't need 7/8 and 5/8 and that kind of thing. So got the ruler. This just came in on Tuesday, so that's awesome. And we're gonna have a sew along for this. Let me see. my notes. So in the book, there's 16 quilts. The Sew Along is going to have an introductory post with all the details on our blog September 5th. And our Sew Along is going to go from September 19th through November 14th. And we're going to post on Fridays. It's going to be 9 weeks long, and that includes the entire thing. And what is going to be different is in the Triangles on a Roll book, we didn't want you to feel like you had to buy every triangle paper. So we only used 2 of the patterns in the book because we don't want you to have to make a huge commitment. We want you to just be able to pull what you have in your stash. On this one, we actually used the entire book, and I finished this on Sunday. So this is going to be our Perfect 5 Sew Along, and I used Early Bird. So I used charm packs. You can use 4 charm packs, but if you want variety and you want to be able to have matching squares like how this has 4 matching, I would go with 8 charm packs. So I will kind of turn it. The white on this is the white dot from Early Bird, so it's part of the collection. It's not a Bella. And I just picked the fabrics as I went, and it's just meant to be scrappy and fun. And I had a lot of fun with this one. I like things that are scrappy, and I like things that are hard. So I had more fun sewing this than the Triangles on a Roll because this is like a lot of change. So I'm super excited that I have that finished. And I picked the red stripe for binding. For my backing, I had a little boo-boo. So first I'll show you my backing, and then I'll tell you what I was gonna do, and then I'll tell you what I did do. So again, I went with the same concept where I put a big chunk at the top and a big chunk at the bottom and a stripe across. And again, this is a label from Sweetwater. And I was going to do this red stripe all the way across on both sides, and I accidentally cut the fabric on the fold instead of the end. So then I had to use white. But one of the things you can do is you can save a lot of money by doing pieced backings, because a lot of times you might have to have 3 widths across, and then you end up buying like 9 yards. If you do 2 widths and 1 strip, you save a lot of money because the strip, all of the fabrics used in the strip were just leftovers from the front. So I had some leftover background. This was just leftover from the layer cake. So I just put those in. So you can save a lot of money by doing a piece to backing. And a lot of times I use sample yardage from Moda or Riley Blake. So it's just, you can't get 10 yards or however many yards you need. So this is my piece backing. I love it. I wasn't sure I was gonna love this big, crazy, loud floral, but I do like it. I think it would have looked better with my red stripe all the way across, but then I cut it and I was like, what are you doing? But that's what you get for sewing 14 hours straight. That happened Saturday night, and I was like, you know what? I think I need to go to bed. So there's that. So do y'all have any questions, because I might have confused you, on the charity quilt, the Triangles on a Roll book, Sew Along, and Perfect 5? Anything on that before I keep going? Because I know that's a lot.
Yeah, let's see. I'm not seeing... Thank you. How many charm packs were used on the cover quilt? If you could just clarify for Perfect 5.
So in this book, the great thing about this book is we wrote the book where we have some that use 1 charm pack, some that use 2 charm packs, 3 charm packs, 4 charm packs. So super easy. So I just need to find out in the book where this is, and I can tell you really quick. We made it very simple. So this one is 3 charm packs.
Ooh, people are...
And we made it that way so that if we want you to be able to take one of our books and say, oh, I have 1 charm pack. What do I do with this 1 charm pack to use it up? Oh, well, you've got 4 options right here. So we try to make it super easy for you to be able to use what you already have.
Okay, cool. We had a lot of questions come in like right now.
Oh,
which is awesome. Okay, Christine Miller says, love the backing fabric. What is it? About that one, if you could just remind us.
So this is early bird fabric. So for the Perfect 5 sew along, I used early bird fabric by Bonnie and Camille, which is a mode of fabric. For the triangles on a row sew along, I used Something Borrowed by Christopher Thompson Tate. No, just Christopher Thompson. Christopher Thompson from Riley Blake.
Yeah.
And I just used, those collections.
Yeah. I was like, tattooed quilter? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm...
That's great. Okay. Jamie A says, is there an option to get the book and ruler as a combo like the Perfect 10 was for Perfect 5?
There will be. And basically the ruler came out first. The book is for pre-sale. Once we ship the pre-sale, we will do a combo, but we're not going to do a combo yet because the book isn't here. And so we don't want to confuse the pre-sales of the book. So once that comes in, we will do that. And the book will be coming in September. It has not gone to the printer yet. We're actually proofing the book next week. So basically Triangles on a Roll is here now. Perfect 5 will be here in 2 months. And I'm just sewing ahead of time because I like to get stuff off my list. So yeah, I really felt last Friday, I felt so overwhelmed with everything that I had on my list. And so I just decided that I was going to really just power through and just get a lot of things done. Just because I felt so overwhelmed last Friday. Like, how am I going to get all this stuff done? And I have it all done. Well, not all of it, but I feel so good that now I can get this to the quilter. I'm sending all of these 2 quilts to Gina Tell today. So I've been sending all of my quilts to her, and she does do, one of the things that I heard some people asking, she does do custom quilts, like custom quilting, and she likes to do that. I just prefer pantographs, so that's why she does pantographs for me. I think she likes to do the custom rather than pantographs, but she's just doing that because I like it.
And her custom quilting is like beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, one question I'm seeing a lot of people want to know, what are the finished sizes of all the quilts we just talked about? I don't know if we have that info readily available.
Yes.
Okay, Triangles on a Roll is 60 by 60. We got that one.
Okay.
Let's see, Perfect 5. We're going to look it up.
I don't know if it's going to be here.
Okay.
We'll go get that information right now.
We'll go get info on Perfect 5.
And the cover quilt that I showed last week, if y'all want to know that, since someone asked how many charm packs it is, that one is 56 square.
Okay. 60 by 60 is also Perfect 5? Yeah. Yes, 60 by 60, Perfect 5.
No, that's not right.
That's not right. JK.
No, because it's huge. No, it's much bigger than that.
Okay. Well, we'll pull up that number. The other question I'm seeing a lot is, where did you get your blouse?
Oh, I subscribed to the, what am I subscribed to, Lily?
Trunk Club.
Trunk Club.
Nordstrom.
Sorry, and it came yesterday, and so I thought, well, I didn't take my clothes to the dry cleaners this week, and I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Lori's house. Woo. Because her daughter's getting married tomorrow. Lori Holt's daughter's getting married tomorrow night.
Confetti cannon for Cassidy.
Yes. And
Congrats,
so
Cassidy.
I was like, what am I going to wear? I don't have any clothes. So I opened it and thought, well, and so I just put it on. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. And then Sophie Gabrielle says, for a label that is pre-printed, is there a place to write your name, date, and name of the quilt?
No. For those, what you do is you sign up for her club. I honestly don't even know how much I pay. It's not very much. I've been in it for so many years that I don't even remember. Basically, you get a label, and it sometimes has your name, sometimes has the year, sometimes it just has a saying. They're all different, and you get 1 to 2 labels a month. And so those both say my name. And what I do is I take it, you take the peel off paper, I put it on a background, and then I sew it like I would. I sew over the seams so that it's completely enclosed into the backing.
Okay. For Perfect 5 is 70 inches squared. Does that sound right? Okay.
I hope. If not, everything will be on the blog. I'm just trying to show you ahead of time, but it is pretty big. It's much bigger and took much longer than the triangles on a roll. The triangles on a roll probably took me 20 hours maybe. But the perfect 5, that was several weeks.
And then Christine Miller says, when is the charity quilt starting? Is there a kit?
There will be a kit. It will all be online early next week. We will have a kit. We will have a backing, and the free patterns will be February 1st through July. And it is, the fabric, I believe, is called a Sweet Escape. It is by Chelsea, Sherry and Chelsea by Moda.
Yes. And there will be tutorials for the charity quilt that will be coming out next February.
Yeah, Sherry and Chelsea are going to do those tutorials.
Yes,
so it'll be a little
excited.
bit different this year because I felt like I'm doing the same thing over and over. So it might not be so much a step-by-step, but it might be like, here's a tip on how to do this block kind of thing.
Okay. And then Melanie Call says, what is the fabric for the charity quilt? Can't wait until next week. So we answered that. Crafting a Planned Life says, are these free patterns for everything you just showed?
So for the Triangles on a Roll book, the book you would need, it's a free sew along, meaning it gives you what you need to put where, but you need the book. For Triangles on a Roll, you need the book. For the charity quilt, completely free. And for the charity quilt, we just ask for a $5 donation for each pattern you use. You can, of course, give less. You can, of course, give more. And then we also have a backing pattern that will be free. They will just be released over time, but that will be completely free. And we use that as a way to make money for Make-A-Wish every year. And then people ask, okay, well, what do you donate for the kit? We don't do like, okay, for every kit sold, we give this amount. We don't do that. We just say $10,000 Make-A-Wish every year. Because it's easier, because why don't we just give them $10,000? I mean, we make much less than that from the kits. So if you're buying the kit, yes, we're using the money to give to Make-A-Wish, but even if we didn't sell a kit, we would still give $10,000 to Make-A-Wish. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense, Lily?
I think it makes sense. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like we'll always give 10,000 no matter what happens from our end.
Right.
But obviously, the more we can raise as a community is like amazing. Okay, and then I'm getting a lot of questions about triangles on a roll, like the paper. Some people are asking, is it paper piecing? How does it work exactly? We do have a couple of tutorials on our channel showing it, but if you could just briefly explain what it is.
So triangle paper, it's basically triangle paper that's stored on a roll. You basically put 2 pieces of fabric right sides together, put your paper on top, stitch on the dotted lines, cut on the straight lines, and tear it off. Press, and you have perfect half square triangles. So it's just paper to simplify, and I have used this brand since I started quilting forever ago, and I recently bought the company, well, Back Quarter Shop bought the company in March, and we're rebranding. So this is our older label. This is how it used to look, and so we are rebranding so that eventually all the labels will look like this. And we're going to do a lot of product promotion to show different ways to use it. It's just something that I love. I never make a triangle, half square triangle without triangle paper. I'm like, love it. My kids tear it off. Yeah, and speaking of triangle paper, since I skipped this on accident, I have been doing my patchwork pinwheels. And we have a free pattern for that we released last week, if you look at last week's live stream. And I just wanted to show you, this is a way to save time. So I have everything in my little box, but one thing that I did, this is a sneak peek of the charity. These are my leftovers. So from the charity quilt, here are all the leftover pieces. So this is, you can get a tease of the colors. So these are just leftover pieces that I had from my charity quilt. And what I do is I lay them, I'll show you. I put them right sides, it's hard to see here, but you put them right sides together. You put the paper on top and you stitch. And what I did was I just cut the squares out and stacked them. And that means because my kids were out of town. So now they're back. So what I can do is just go another day, go and cut on the lines, have my kids pull it apart, and then I can do the next step, which is to turn it into pinwheels. Turn the half square triangles into pinwheels. And so this is something that I came up with in January. Jocelyn came up with the idea to take a little bit of fabric from each of your quilts throughout the year and turn them into something. So these are some of my pinwheels. I have a free pattern that I'm giving you, and if you wanted to not buy the triangle paper and just make it the traditional way, you could definitely do that. But this is a way that I save time by just doing this. This is all I could do this weekend, and then another weekend I'll take it, cut it apart, and it kind of spreads it out. But by doing this, I make sure that all of my scraps are used. So I'm just gonna leave that in there, and then this is the 1-inch size. So I thought I would show you that because I did get that done last weekend. And that kind of spaces it out so you don't feel like, okay, I've got to stitch it together, I've got to cut it, I got to pull it, I got to piece it back together. You can just do a little bit each time, and then as I have time in my sewing room, I could just go in and do like a couple a day or something. Space it out. I guess spacing it out a little bit is one way. A lot of times you ask me like how I get stuff done. I try to do everything very, I like to say, assembly line. That's one thing that I'm big on, assembly line. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do all of those. Say there's 20 in the stack. I think there's more. Do that. Stop. Do everything at the same time, and then it kind of helps. But just doing that is good because I've set my fabric aside. I've used my leftovers. I'm not going to lose them by the time I get back to it.
Excellent. Okay, so we're still getting a lot of questions that me and Denise are working on finding the answers to. So the last one I'm going to ask for this portion for now is Crafting and Plan Live says, for kits, are there cutting instructions if you want to use your own fabric?
Which kit?
Probably beginner is what I'm assuming.
So for beginner, it is, okay, so for the beginner series, you can use any fabric you would like. The patterns will be available free both on our blog and in our video tutorial description box. So if you go to the video and you click description box, what is it you click, Lily? Is that right?
The video, yeah, the description box.
Description box, and then you
say show more, or it'll have a little arrow.
And then in there is the free pattern. So for the beginner quilt, completely free. If you buy the kit, the entire pattern is in there as a convenience for you. For the triangles on a row, you can use your own fabric. There is no kit. You would just need the book, and that's it. For the, Perfect 5, I should have divided these out because I'm getting all of you confused. So Perfect 5, all you need is the book. And on our blog, we will have the free tutorial of cut this, put this here. For triangles on a roll, you would need the book and the 2 rolls of triangle paper, 3-inch and 4-inch. And then the rest is all free on our blog.
Cool, we can move on for now and we'll ask everyone's questions later.
Okay, so I also have this Mariposa quilt. This is a brand new kit. The fabric is Good Day by me and my sister, and Cheryl made this. So this is a great pattern for just whipping it up during the weekend. This is the pattern. It is 36 inches by 48. It uses 8 fat quarters and a background binding and backing. Super beginner friendly. So that's new in our shop. And I told y'all last week about the Moda blockheads, and I finished it, and Gina quilted it, and here it is. So this thing is heavy because it's big. So I'm gonna try to flip it. So this is Moda Blockheads 2. It's a completely free pattern on the Moda Fabrics blog. And it took me 1.5 years. And I'm so happy that I finished it. So I'm gonna just rotate it.
That's crazy.
I know.
Like in the best way.
I know, it's so big and so heavy.
What fabric collection did you use?
I used leftovers, scraps from a quilt kit that I had from Moda. It's an much older fabric. It's several collections mixed. And then my backing, again, top and bottom, big pieces. The middle is just a stripe. And I had a block that I used in the middle that I didn't like for the front. So what I did is I had made this block. I'm gonna sit down because it's so heavy.
Yeah.
So I had made this block for the front of the quilt. And then when I put it down, I realized I had too much pink and aqua together. Imagine that, because I love pink and aqua so much. So I kept the block. It's part of the free pattern. At the very end, I unstitched this little center square, put a label in, made my little label, put a little border around my label, and then stitched it back in, put it on the back. And it says Kimberly Jolly 2018. Now I know it's 2019 and that's when I finished it, but most of it was done in 2018. I had done a majority of it last year and then just had taken a while to put it together. So I kind of went with what year should I put? So I thought, well, let me put 2018 because most of my time was in 2018. So I had a lot of fun with my backing. And I wanted to tell you my birds are not all going the same direction. And that's okay because it's the backing and I don't think anybody will notice. But again, I didn't have enough. This is an older fabric. So when you don't have enough, you just improvise. Like, see, there's some birds going this way, it's fine. So that was fun, and it's a really nice crosshatch. I love what Gina did. I love it. It's so pretty. So I'm gonna give this to my sister-in-law. This is my first Christmas gift. So my sister-in-law that lives in Houston loves, I don't know, she's like crafty. She doesn't sew, but she's very like crafty. So I think she'll really like it. So I'm gonna actually like wrap it up. So I'm like one gift down out of 50. Yes, I think she'll really like it. And she really likes birds and like she gardens like crazy. I don't know how. She like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know how she does all the stuff. And then yesterday we got this in the mail. This is from I call her my second mom. This is from Ann Sutton. And it is called My Redwood Garden. I know, it's so pretty, right? It's 70 by 79, and we're pre-selling it, and it ships in September. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna pull this. And I also want to show you how she does her labels because it's a very good way to do labels. So this has applique, embroidery, and piecing. So like it's embroidery. So for her label, what she did is she just pieced the backing like you would normal. And then she makes these labels, I believe, on her printer. So she designs them and prints them on like electric quilt paper. She puts a border on them, and then she, after it's quilted, puts it on top. So that's another way that you can do your labels, is put it on after it's done. If I was gonna, and the reason she does that is so that, you know, you can measure it. If you put this on and it's not in the center, there's no way the long arm quilter can get it right in the corner. The only reason I don't do this is because if it got stolen, somebody could rip it out and pull it off. But of course, if somebody stole it, they probably wouldn't know that. So this is, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Like if I could applique like this, oh my goodness. It's so pretty. That red and white is so pretty. And so like this is embroidery. It's so pretty. And the scallop, I mean, come on. Zero chance I could do that. This is beautiful. And her quilting, I love the quilting. If you look, it's just straight lines on the border. And then it's all custom. And I would love to tell you who quilted this. So let me see if it says on the label. Designed by Ann Sutton, quilted by Maggie Honeyman, applique and piecing by Ann Sutton, Kim Steffens, and Nancy Ritter. So that is just beautiful. And her fabric is called My Redwood Garden, and it's coming out in September. And then we have some other stuff I was going to show you. I thought that it would be fun to give you all a coupon on the Yeti. So there is a coupon for a week. It starts today and then it ends next Thursday, and the coupon is Yeti 20. YETI 20. So if you want a Yeti, woo, And then Good Day came, and this is what the Mariposa quilt was made out of. And I just wanted to show it to you. It's really, really, really bright and fun and pretty. And this has been selling like nuts. So this is this is Farmhouse Flannels. So you can see how big it is. And I will be honest and say that flannels, they're not like our biggest seller, because I don't know, sometimes I think people don't know how to use them, but this has been selling like crazy, and it's so pretty. And I think it would be beautiful in that Triangles on a Roll quilt. It's so pretty. I love this part of it. And this is how your kit would come for the Mariposa kit. Another thing I wanted to show you guys is Peach from the Stitch Squad showed me. Moda does a Instagram post every month that just highlights colors that go with that month. And this is what they did for August. So we put together a bundle, and we'll start doing that from now on. So there's that. We have some new design boards from Lori. They're from Granny's Garden. And of course, that's my favorite, the pink one. And I wanted to talk to y'all about pins also. This is something that I discovered. So I use C103 by Collins. This is what I've used for years. And when Mr. Domestic, I always want to call him Matthew Broderick, but it's not. It's Matthew Boudreau. Well, it's like the same initials. So when Mr. Domestic came and when Corey Yoder came, they kept talking about these magic pins and how much they loved them. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try them. And the 0.5 size is the same, 0.5 millimeters is the same size as this. And these are great for borders because they're a little bit, they're both, this is what I find interesting. They're both 0.5. I don't like anything thicker than a 0.5. But even though these are 0.5, they stay a little bit, I guess, sterner. So when I was doing the borders on all of these quilts, it was great because when I pulled it over, you know how sometimes pins start flying? The pins really stayed in place because, you know, like if you're pulling it, you might nudge it on your fabric or, you might hit something. But so I really found that I like these magic pins for my borders. So now I'm using both. So that's it, and I have a lot, and sorry, I should have probably broken it out. Next week I'm going to hopefully show you, I'm going to catch up on Vintage Block Along, and but I won't have as much next week because I'm going to visit, well, tomorrow I'm flying in the morning to Lori's daughter's wedding, and then the wedding is at night, and then on Sunday Lori and I are going to just hang out, and then I'm going to fly home Monday. So I will only have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to sew.
Oh, can I just say the idea of flying pins sounds terrifying?
Oh, well,
you said that your pins
I
just fly.
step on them all the time. Oh, and I always know when I'm vacuuming over them because my machine, yeah. Kevin, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then,
I think it's because I pin so much, but then when you take a big quilt that has like all those pins and you take it, sometimes they just go. I think all the people know what I'm talking about. Hope.
Yes.
Hope.
It just sounded so cool and scary. Let's see. Gigi Odom says, "Did Kimberly get her Aliso fixed?"
No. So I'll tell you about that. So I have an Aliso, and it started spitting brown stuff, and I think it was because I left it on for 14 hours. I could not. I took it to the sink, and I did the thing where you spray it, let it empty, and then turned it off, and then turned it back on, and it kept spitting brown stuff from the nozzle and then also from the back. I don't know what it was doing. And so I was finishing the Perfect 5. And so what I did was I just got all the water out and then finished my quilt without steam, which is not something that I usually do. And I just had to buy a new iron. I think it's a goner, and I think I probably used it for too many hours. I'm not really sure. And I always use distilled water. So I know it wasn't that. I think I just had it on too long or something.
Okay, from Jamie A about the beginner series, she says, do you plan to do a video on the sewing machine you use in the new Beginner Quilt Along? The main question I have is, how is the automatic thread cutter?
I think it works great. We've had some questions on why I haven't been using it in the video. And the reason why is because it's a beginner series and I didn't want you to feel bad if you don't have a thread cutter. So I wanted you to be able to see it because a lot of people don't have a thread cutter. And if I showed that, then I thought we would get people say, oh, well, what do you do if you don't have a thread cutter? So it works perfectly, and on some future videos I'm going to start using it because I've had so many emails upset about that, but it works totally fine. I just kind of was doing that because I was trying to think back to when I had my first sewing machine. It didn't have a thread cutter, but of course that was like 25 years ago when they weren't as popular as they are now.
Okay, and let's see. Rebecca Jane says, how do you know what size triangle paper to purchase for specific size half square triangles?
So if we have we actually have a sheet on our free pattern page, and that will help you. So if you have a 2-inch finished, you would do 2-inch finished. If it's unfinished, that would be 2.5, which is ½ inch bigger. The cut size would be 7/8 bigger than your finished size. But we have a chart. If you go to fatquartershop.com, on the very bottom it says free patterns, and if you just search half square triangles, it's going to tell you cut size, unfinished size, finished size, and the SKU number for triangles on a roll to use. So it will really help you. And the book is written specifically for the triangle paper, so the book is going to make it very clear what size rectangle to start with. So it makes it super easy so that it can get people more familiar with how to use it. And then I think it's one of those things where once you use it, you kind of just keep using it because it's so convenient.
And then this is about the Moda free pattern sampler you did.
Yes.
Jamie A said, is there some Hello Lovely in that quilt? I think that's fabric by Amanda Herring from last year. Yeah.
No, so that fabric, okay, so 2 years ago, Moda had a quilt kit, and it was like Moda sampler. I don't know. It came in a box, and I bought it, and I made it, and it's actually in my living room. And I had a lot left over, so I thought, well, I'll just use that in my Moda blockheads. I know it had pepper and flax, but that's the only one that I can remember, and they were the dessert cuts. And so I started with leftovers, and then I thought, well, I'll make it for my sister-in-law because she's awesome, and I feel like she's had a really rough 2 years. And so I already have a quilt made out of it, and I enjoyed making it. So it basically looks exactly like the one in the living room. So actually when she opens it, I think she's going to think that I'm giving her a leftover quilt because she's at our house quite a bit because her son is moving here. He's going to the University of Texas, so I think she's going to think I'm giving her leftovers, so I'm probably going to have to tell her, it's a different one. Oh. And I want her to think. I mean, she would know because she would come back to my house, but...
Okay, and then Jamie A asked a question that I've had for a while. She said, OMG, do people really steal quilts? Because
Yes.
you've mentioned it a few times.
Yes, it's a thing, and you see it on Facebook, you see it at quilt shows. It does happen. And I got that idea, and I've given her credit for years. I got that idea from Julie Herman. She used to talk about that 10 years ago when she first started about making quilts and sewing them in. And so I thought, oh, okay. And then I did it, and then I realized after I did it that you can save, especially if you have a big quilt, you can save so much money. Because instead of doing 3 strips for a really long quilt, you can do 2 and then leftovers. And so and I put it in the center always because I don't want to put it in the bottom corner because then my long arm quilter would have to get it, and if it's not even with the binding, it's going to be close and you're going to be able to tell. So I just put it in the center. Sometimes I've done a skinny, and a wide. Sometimes I've done something like that, but it's just a way to save space. And I love those labels that I've been getting from Sweetwater. I think it's only been about 2 years, but it's been maybe a little over 2 years. And they're really nice, and the colors always match. And so I just go through and figure out what I think matches. Like the red on that doesn't match exactly, but it's red, it's fine. Nobody is going to say, oh, that red is not the exact red.
And then my favorite comment from this live stream is from Teresa, who is I think one of our biggest YouTube fans. She is always on there and like super positive. She says, Kimberly says, zero chance she could do some things, but we all know that woman is a dynamo who could do whatever she set her mind to.
Oh, thanks. I just really applique. I don't know. I think I could embroider. I think I would have to sit with applique. I mean, I do applique, but it's just, yeah.
It's not your jam.
I just don't. I like it. I just don't think I do a good job. So I don't like to do anything I don't do a good job at.
Okay. And then April Jackson was asking, can you mix fabrics in a quilt, like some flannel and some cotton, or is that a no-no?
Some people do it. Some people don't. I've never tried it. If you did it, I would starch it off first, so that it's all pre-shrunk, because I would think a flannel might shrink at a different rate than cotton, and so if you washed it, you might get maybe one is more crinkled than the other. So I would think as long as you have pre-shrunk your fabrics, you should be fine. And that's a complete guess. I haven't done it, but that flannel right there is so beautiful. Of course, my house is gray and white, so like I'm a little bit partial to gray and white. I have gray, white, and aqua. I don't have very much colors going on.
Okay, and then Bonita Nan says, what exactly is grunge material? What is it used for mostly? Thanks.
So, grunge was designed by Moda Fabrics. And this right here, this one is a grunge with dots. So it just has a grungy look. This one is the grunge dots, so it's not the exact grunge. The other grunge I'll show you is here. It basically has a little bit of a texture. So it's solid with textured spots, and it's designed by Basic Gray, and it was just part of their collection and people really liked it, so Moda made it a basic. And there are lots of colors. There's like lights, darks, brights, moderns, neutrals. It's like the whole range. I mean, there's probably over 100 colors at least. But it's by Moda. It's just a cotton, but it's just got a grunge look.
Okay, Michelle Olson says, what length of magic pins do you recommend?
So this is the one that I used. 1 7/16. Let's see what it says. I don't see a SKU number on here, but they say fine and 1 7/16. So we should have a link below. But yeah, they're funny. They don't have a link. They don't have a SKU number on here, which would make it easy, because like Collins, you can just look at it and say C103. And the only reason I tried it is because Mr. Domestic and then Corey just kept raving about him, and I was like, well, then it's the FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
It's a thing. So I was like, oh, well, everybody's using these. I got to use them. And then I used them, and I was like, oh, they really kind of, and I couldn't figure it out, because I was at home thinking, well, they both say 0.5 millimeters, so why would one say more than the other? And they're easy to take off because they have that grip, and you can, instead of pulling the little dot on the Collins, you can just like go like this on your, like this is the bed of your machine, and you can just go like that and it just falls off instead of doing this. And so when you're doing a border and you're trying to go fast, you can go real fast. That's how I get stuff done. But yeah, the only reason I bought those pins was because FOMO. And I didn't even know what FOMO was until 2 months ago, so.
Oh.
Well, I was with like a dance mom, and she was like, oh, my daughter, we're having all these problems with FOMO. And I was like, oh. So I'm sitting there, and finally I was like, what is FOMO? She's like, oh, fear of missing out. She's so scared that she's going to miss out on something. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's not that bad of a problem. That's good. Because my daughter I think that's like we all, I was like, I got to have these.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all have that, a little bit at least. Karen Sharp, this was just another sweet comment. She's on Facebook. She says, Kimberly, thank you so much for all that FQS does, especially all the free patterns and YouTube videos. Looking forward to starting the Ultimate Beginner Quilt. You make me believe I can really do it.
You can. Yes. Thank you. Yes, and we're trying. I will say filming the Ultimate Beginner series has been difficult for me, because I'm like so scared of what I'm gonna forget because I've been sewing so long. So I'm trying to do as much detail as I can. And then I really thought by not using the thread cutter that I was gonna help all of y'all. And so many of you guys were like, the thread cutter doesn't work. And I was like, oh no, it works. I just don't want to like make you feel bad, fear of missing out. I didn't want you to fear that you were missing out on having a thread cutter. Look, I'm a comedian today.
That's great.
Pulled it back together. But yeah, I mean, I just didn't want you to feel like if you didn't have one that you couldn't do this also.
Okay, and this is in regards to the iron. Paula Pereno says, I always buy spring water now in my iron and never have brown spinning anymore. I went through a lot of irons before I figured this out. Spring water makes a difference. So,
yeah, I might have to try that because everyone told me to do distilled water. But I think I just had that iron on too many hours and it just, I don't know, because what I do is on my ironing table, I leave like a white fabric that's just so that I can iron on top of it so my bottom one doesn't ever get dirty. And I just came to the iron, it was like all this brown stuff, and I was like, oh, and then it just started spitting, and then I had my tied pin, and I was like, okay, we got to stop. So I emptied it. And then I thought, well, I'll empty it, turn it off, and then like in a couple hours try it again, and it did the same thing. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to start over. But I did try to fix it, and it just was not having it.
okay, and we're just going to take a couple more questions here. Mary Hoochin says, can you please tell me which Moda Bella White you use for your quilts?
So I use either 200 or color 98. I also think color 97 is awesome. So I use color 200 the most, color 97 the second most. 200 is very bright, 97 is a little bit duller, 98 is super bright, and 60 is creamish. And I use that every now and then, but usually 200. And everyone's different. Like Bonnie and Camille, they use color 97. Corey Yoder uses color 200. And then Sherry and Chelsea, I think they use color 97.
Okay, and then Melissa Safransky says, happy World Cross Stitch Day. Excited there will be a cross stitch pattern as well as the charity quilt. Going to do both.
Yes, so for the charity quilt, I'm sewing it this weekend. For the charity cross stitch. So we want to raise $50,000 next year instead of 40. So we thought, well, how can we do that? Because we can't just keep asking money from people. So we thought, well, if we did something for a whole different audience, which would be cross stitchers who don't cross stitch, it would bring in more people to make more money so that we can grant more wishes. So for Make-A-Wish. So we came up with the cross stitch idea, and that information will be coming out later. It will not come out next week, and the reason why is I have to stitch it to test it. So I just finished the quilt, and I am going to be doing the charity cross stitch starting Sunday. Super excited. We just got it charted, and it's going to be fun.
And then question from XG Garbled. Quick question, getting fabric ready for Ultimate Beginner Quilt. If I wanted to make it so it finishes at approximate size, how much more fabric would you recommend? I'm starting with 24 fat quarters.
I think the kit comes with 12 fat quarters, so 24 would be fine. Yeah, I think 24 would be more than enough, but if you're saying you want to make it bigger, you would probably need to email us so we could like calculate it out, but 24 is more than enough to start.
Okay, and then the last couple questions I'm seeing here are all about the triangles on a book. I believe they are working on getting it back online right now. Yeah, the minute we started the live stream, I guess, is when they started running the club. So then it was just showing like a 404 on the link we had in the description. So we apologize for that. But yeah, the book should be available for y'all to purchase after the live stream. That was the last bit of questions I had.
Awesome. So y'all have a great weekend. I will be back on next week, and I'll hopefully have lots of stuff. I will definitely have block 2. So see you next week.